The vision of Greentech Office Foundation is to help people bring closer to Allah. With that vision, we have been working towards using technologies to help people better understand Islam. And that is our mission in this organization. The Al-Quran app, the Sirah app, the Hadith app, the Sadiq app, all these apps are focused towards helping people better understand Islam so that we can, inshallah, bring people closer to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to this special video from Greentech Apps Foundation. Today we are going to share something exciting with you, the story of our recent ideation workshop called New Frontier 1.1. I am Muhammad Mainul Hassan, an intern with the R&D team here at Greentech, and I will be hosting today's discussion. Alhamdulillah, we have three amazing people from our team joining me today. Let me introduce them one by one. First, Riyasat Bhai, who is playing a big part in our team. Please, Bhai, tell us a bit about yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, Maino. Thanks a lot for this initiative. Jazakallah khair. I'm Riyasat Islam. I am one of the co-founders of Greentech Office Foundation. Currently, I'm leading the R&D department. At the R&D department, we work on the new initiatives that we think will be beneficial in terms of the Ummah and how we can use innovative technology in our products going forward. So that's very briefly what we do in the R&D team. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Riyasat Bhai. Next, we have Ashraf Bhai. Bhai, please introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Muhammad Ashraful Haq. I'm currently working as a data scientist in the R&D team of Greentech Apps Foundation. I'm also a long-term enthusiast of Greentech Apps Foundation even before I joined here. I used to do voluntary work here, and it's a dream come true for me to work in the team that I was so enthusiastic about.
Mushrik Talha Bhai, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. I am Mushfiqur Rahman Talha. I am currently working as a software engineer in the R&D department of Greentech Apps Foundation. I joined here this year's October, and my journey started with this organization from the October 2024 when I joined here as an intern in the R&D team. After that, I started as a part-time engineer, and alongside I was completing my study of the fourth year in Islamic University of Technologies. And after that, in this October, I joined here fully as a full-time software engineer. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair to all of you for being here. So we have all been mentioning that I am from R&D team, but I think our viewer would love to know that what exactly this team do at Greentech. So Riyasat Bhai, as you are our team lead, would you mind sharing about this a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of our work within the organization, the vision of Greentech Office Foundation is to help people bring closer to Allah. With that vision, we have been working towards using technologies to help people better understand Islam. And that is our mission in this organization. As part of that, all the products that we have, the Al-Quran app, the Sirah app, the Hadith app, all these different apps, including the Sadiq app as well that we have recently launched a couple of years ago, all these apps are focused towards helping people better understand Islam so that we can, inshallah, bring people closer to Allah slowly. The R&D team plays a vital role in serving this mission and the vision of the organization. And as part of that, we aim to investigate, we aim to innovate and find out what are the ways we can improve our products and services to benefit the Ummah at large. This is one of the prime goals of the R&D team. However, in terms of the work scope, we're looking at how the modern technologies, for example, AI, for example, LLM technologies that we have, or any other research. It might be psychology, it might be educational psychology, that we can use to help build our apps in a much more engaging manner. So you might have heard about apps that would make people addictive, and so that people keep on coming back and using the apps, such as that in any other normal app. In our case, we are seeing how we can help people to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this entire ecosystem of apps that we have currently, that would help people with their day-to-day understanding of Islam, but also their day-to-day ibadah. We're trying to come up with these services that would ultimately help people um, much better and connect them much better with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the overall goal of the organization. Jazakallah khair.
So, Bhai, as far as I know, R&D team is a new department at Greentech. So, I would love to know how did you start this journey? I mean, maybe Nabil Bhai started the team. So, I would love to know the story, Bhai.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Nabil is our main founder of the organization. Um, he's the main visionary behind this, mashallah, great work that we've been doing as a whole. Approximately 2-3 years ago, Nabil started the R&D department as well. And as part of that, we have been working on how can we improve the interconnected learning experience for our users. So as I've mentioned before, we have the Quran app, the Hadith app, and the Sirah app, and the Sadiq app. Now, imagine when we are reading the Quran, we are we are able to connect it to provide more context on the side of Hadith. How are these ayahs connected to other ayahs in the Quran? How are the Hadith gives more context to the ayahs of the Quran? This helps, in much more depth, the understanding that you can go, inshallah. And not only that, what was the seerah context of these verses and the hadith that are relevant? So we have been working on related content. So a lot of the work initially that Nabil started was related to that. So for example, if you go to our hadith app already, you will see there are, if you look at one of the hadiths, you will see a related hadith feature and similar hadith. So in a way, you can understand the broader context of that same hadith that you're studying or you're trying to learn. So this helps with the understanding quite a lot. That was obviously one of the prime focus that the R&D team started with. Then gradually, we also tried to help our internal organizational processes. So, for example, we noticed that in order to provide value to our users, there were quite a few processes within the organization that is potentially possible to innovate and make better. And so, alhamdulillah, we have built within the R&D team, we helped build the auto reply system. So whenever we have, mashallah, because we have, alhamdulillah, several million users worldwide, we'll receive a lot of queries. So Nabil with Galib at the time, was one of the R&D engineers that we had at the time, developed this auto reply system that automatically helps communicate with our users to be able to review, to be able to respond to their reviews as they would come in. So these are just one or two examples of how the R&D team started working on. By that time, alhamdulillah, now the LLM technology has matured quite a lot, and we are moving towards that. So we are doing hadith narration analysis, which Ashraf has been doing for the last 1 year. We've been doing quiz generation through AI. So if you provide authentic content and the context to an AI model, it is possible to generate quiz that is very accurate, uh, even though previously it was a very menial task. But now using AI, you can come up with not only the correct answer, some of the wrong options, but also a bit of explanation as well. So it has improved quite a lot since we first tried this experiment. And obviously, there are several more other things that we can talk about. But I think one last thing I would like to mention is that, inshallah, we are working on an Islamic AI-powered search engine. And we'll try our level best to make it as less hallucination as possible. So searchdeen.com is one of the products that we're currently working on. And this will be, inshallah, going forward, one of the major contributions to the Ummah through our R&D department.
So, Mushfiq Bhai, you mentioned earlier that you have been working for part-time job for over a year. So, what have you been working on? Can you share with us?
Yes, obviously. So first of all, in during my internship time, I worked with a project called Sira Hadith Mapping, that is finding relevant hadith that go with the paragraphs of the Sira. This was a bit interesting task for me, and I think this task has a big impact for the Ummah, because when people study Sira, so when someone, if someone is going through a paragraph, then maybe a question come to his mind that what are the sources, or what type of lessons can I find from this part. So here we have created some mappings using our latest generational LLMs to find matched hadith to link with this sira. So people can click on the link and go to the hadith and read that. And obviously in the hadith there are other related narrations, so people can find a good lesson from that. When I joined as a part-time, so I talked with Riyasat bhai, Yamin bhai, and Nabil bhai about the search din search. The idea first came to my mind in an R&D meeting, where we were asked to find some works that we can do. So one idea came to my mind is that often when we search for hadith, that something that is I need to find an hadith, I can rephrase it as such that I have a hadith in my mind and I need to find that proper source of this hadith. So what I do now, I usually search on Google, and it often we can find the proper sources, or we can find that hadith at all, because Google is a cluster of many sources, so it is often difficult to find us. And often we find that hadith, but after browsing through 2 or 3 pages. So after talking with our seniors, I found out that this is a field where I can potentially work. So at first I analyzed the search performances of our search engine, and then accordingly I am currently working on that part. So as Riyasud bhai mentioned earlier, that we are currently working on a AI based search engine, searchdin.com, and that is where I'm working on now. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
So people do search in Google about the source of an hadith. Recently, people normally uses ChatGPT to find this, and you mentioned that you are working on AI-based search engine. Do you think people will use search then instead of ChatGPT and get a better result? What do you think about this?
Yes, you asked a very good question. That is way a good field of research. That how can we improve our search din to a level that it reach or exceeds the level of ChatGPT in providing people with the answers they want. So we are working on that also, and we were working on a conversational AI that will feel like you are talking with a companion that is rich in knowledge with Islamic content. So it will help the Ummah in great, inshallah.
Ashraf bhai, you have been working in green tech for maybe around 2 or 3 years. I don't know. So what are you working on this period?
And thank you, Mainul. I have been working in Greentech. My experience is almost 2 years now. I am working in many different projects. Some of the projects are related to optimizing processes, internal processes of the company, and some of the projects are related to behavioral analysis of our app users and also behavior analysis of our donors. And I have been also involved in some LLM projects related to Hadith and narration chain analysis. And recently we're doing research on Hadith narration extraction. So there's a big spectrum of projects and different kind of projects that I'm working in. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Yes, sir, bhai. You have actually done an academic research on Islamic lifestyle applications. Alhamdulillah, the paper has been published in a Q1 journal. Can you tell us about the work and what you discovered?
Okay. So in that particular work, we have collaborated with Islamic University of Technology, and we tried to identify through a lens of psychology of how people can relate to the Islamic applications and their day-to-day Islamic lifestyle. We looked into this through a lens of what is called self-determination theory. So self-determination theory typically helps people to understand their motivation. How can people sustain or maintain their spirituality through these Islamic apps? So we have tried to understand from the user's perspective. So we did interview of the users and we tried to understand how their current day-to-day lifestyle is and how they are using technology to help in their day-to-day Islamic ibadah practice in general. From there, we identify a few key things. And on top of that, we also investigated some of the most popular applications in the market, approximately 11 applications we looked into, and how these features, from a user experience perspective, how these features can also help the users that we interviewed. And then ultimately, we came up with some design recommendations that any designer of an Islamic app can use for their own purposes. So this research was to supplement the existing work that we are doing within Greentech Office Foundation, but definitely it is valuable for people who are designing and developing Islamic apps all over the world. And we identified 2 or 3 key points, which is, for example, one of them is people really want to have some sense of autonomy, some sense of ownership on how they can interact or use the applications. That was one thing that we identified. The other thing that we identified was they would like to have a sense of community. So, for example, these days, the way the Islamic practice has changed, we consume a lot of Islamic content from the internet, and this becomes like a one-to-many relationship. So, I mean, we are a consumer, as in I am consuming content from the internet. However, am I being part of the community? Because a lot of the Islamic activities or the practices within an Islamic world, the Jummah that we go to, the Eid Salah that we go to, this is all communal. So people miss this community aspect. And so we've also identified this through our research, that if we can support this community aspect through the apps, this will definitely help these users, improve their spirituality and practice and religiosity in general. And the other aspect that I was thinking was very important was they also wanted to have access to the scholars. This is definitely one of the key issues. Again, as I've mentioned, because of the way we currently consume Islamic content right now through the internet, connections with the scholars is very, very limited. And so this is something that if the apps can facilitate will definitely be really beneficial for the people in general to help them maintain their spirituality and their practice.
I would like to add something to that. I actually read that paper. One of the major issues that were identified, one of the major concerns of the users of the Islamic apps were privacy breaches and inappropriate ads, repetitive notifications. So after reading that paper, I was very amazed to see that Greentech Apps Foundation was already ahead of the game of these user concerns because we actually value the privacy of our users. We actually don't use AdSense in any of our applications or websites, and we also are very modest about when and how we are pushing notifications to users. So that was a very good outcome according to that paper.
A continuation of that would be, so there's a term called context-aware notifications or context-aware computing. Typically, a mobile app user would have more than 50 apps installed on their phone. Now imagine all these different apps, including the social media apps, giving you notifications after notifications. And I'm sure you will agree that in most of the cases, you press clear all and clear out all the notifications at one go. So how can we provide better notifications or reminders to the users? This in itself is a research that we can work on, and we have been investigating this as well. Alhamdulillah, over the last few years, as Ashraf very nicely mentioned, we have actually integrated quite a lot of these things within the app. So for example, if you go to our Sadiq app, the Sadiq app, as the name suggests, it is your digital companion, right? It is your digital companion. And it is a friend that would help you to be better Muslim, inshallah. So for example, if you have prayed Fajr, obviously it will give you a notification or that it's Fajr time now, please pray Fajr. And immediately after that, you will notice a notification say that it is now time for morning askar. So this also helps you with the morning askar. And as the day goes by, you will be, depending on the context, of course, you will be notified on the other subtle ibadah that you can do in your day-to-day practice. I would like to share one user story. So one brother who's our Sadiq app user mentioned that he typically uh, is sleeps a bit late. Typically, that's his habit. And when it is a bit late at night, our app gives a notification that very subtly, we don't want to we don't want to disturb people's sleep, but very subtly gives a notification that it's tahajjud time. And the brother was able to pray tahajjud, and if I remember correctly, he mentioned that he was one of the first times he prayed tahajjud outside of, or prayed qiyamul layl outside of Ramadan. So this is how we are trying to help people to better practice their Islam and improve bit by bit, inshallah ta'ala.
Hi, the apps remind us to pray but don't help us pray better. There is a challenge of consistency and habit formation. Many young Muslims have the desire to practice. They want to pray regularly, read Quran daily, but they struggle to make it stick. Life gets busy, routines break. What do you want to talk? Anything you want to share about this?
So I think that is a much more broader aspect. What our apps would do is we can't replace the scholars. Ideally, if because mashallah our Quran app is really popular, if you are self-learning, you can only go as much. And we always give this example that there are few things that are so important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to physically send Jibril alayhi salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Or there are few things that are so important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in front of him in Jannah to say that Salah is farad upon you. So this one-to-one interaction, there's no replacement, right? So there's no replacement for that. So we can help people to pray better. I mean, not necessarily pray better, to be more regular in their prayers. However, we do not want to replace a scholar. The importance of engaging with Islamic scholars is undoubtedly very, very important. We help people, we facilitate people in their journey of practice and improving themselves, inshallah. However, we do not intend to replace the scholar. Unless we have a mentor in terms of a scholar or a talibul ilm, we will slowly, gradually decline in our practice and ibadah in any way. So I think it's a very different or broad issue, right? And as the research also suggested, that people actually want access to scholars and be part of the community. And so that is a vacuum that I think our current existing apps do not necessarily serve. But obviously, if we can guide them to any other events that are going on around the area, or if there are any panels of scholar that lives near a particular person's location that they can access potentially, I think these are some of the areas where people can find much more benefit to actually improve, as you mentioned, the quality of their prayer or the quality of their practice.
Actually, the issue came up in the ideation workshop that we did a few days ago, which is main purpose was to finding new frontiers for the company and forming new ideas and new projects that we can do, which will actually help the ummah. So one of the ideas was exactly targeting this issue. That was just developing a ADB list type of solution for scholars and student of knowledge. So that actually came up, and one of the resources that we used before preparing for the workshop was actually the paper that we talked about right now.
Ashraf Bhai, as you already mentioned about the workshop, so I would love to know what was this workshop about and why we named it New Frontier Workshop, please.
So the workshop was actually bottom-up approach, uh, actually an ideation workshop. We used the bottom-up approach and design thinking methods. Specifically speaking, we were using double diamond ideation method to generate ideas and uh, finding specific ideas that will be actually impactful in the long run of the company. So it was a workshop of 2 sessions, and we selectively invited people from the company, from different teams like the product, the development team, the customer service team, and also me as a data guy, and also the R&D team was present at the meeting, at the workshop. So the main target was to combine all kind of views and different perspectives into one table, and use the double diamond method to innovate and generate ideas and consolidate them to solid strategies. So this was the main purpose of the workshop. So as I was speaking, I'm involved in different types of projects in last 2 years. So this was the most new and the most different thing I have been different thing I have done in recent times.
So Ashraf Bhai mentioned about double diamond method. It's a little bit complex term for viewers. I'd love to elaborate it a little bit. So from the name, we can know that there is two diamond. First diamond is about discovering ideas, and the second one is about delivering the ideas. Uh, and each diamond has two phases. One is divergence, and the other is convergence. I think Mushfiq Talha bhai can elaborate more about the divergence part.
Yeah, obviously. Thank you for giving me the floor to explain this term. So, as the name already suggests, that the idea diverges. That is, the first, in case of the first diamond, you do have no limit. That is, you have the sky above you, and you can climb as high, as high as you can go. So, think of any idea without any type of restrictions or constraints that you have. This is the main divergence part. That is, you diverge with the ideas and generate all type of ideas. So one way that you can do is you can give all the participants a number that maybe that is 5 or 10, and tell them to generate 5 or 10 ideas, and then you take all these ideas. And since I said that there is no constraints, some participants may come with more ideas than you said. So after that, you collect all the ideas and you propagate it to next phase.
As I was also the part of the workshop, I remember that while we were brainstorming the ideas, Ashraf Bhai told us that we have no limitations. We have unlimited manpower. We have unlimited funds. So yes, sky was the limit. And the next part was convergence. Ashraf Bhai, please tell about a bit about.
A little more on the divergence part. We actually accumulated more than 70 ideas. That was interesting part. Some of the participants, all of the participants were tasked with generating 10 ideas each, but some of them actually generated 3 ideas, 5 ideas, and a few of them actually generated more than 10 ideas. That's how it was accumulated into total 70 ideas in total. Then what we did is there was a lot of overlaps. More than one person was basically giving the same idea, or basically giving two parts of the same solution. So we actually we did affinity of the ideas. We consolidated the similar ideas into one group, and there was voting on the groups, and that's how we actually ended up with the first convergence, and we ended up, and I believe 10 or 12 ideas from those 70 ideas. So that was the first diamond. And those 10 or 20, 12 ideas was actually very good. Each and every one of them was actually very good ideas. And we were, and they were very implementable. But our task was to more consolidate and select fewer ideas from them. So we moved on to the second diamond of the method, and that was doing voting and using the rice method of numbering those ideas. For the second diamond, we actually used the rice method to further vote out the ideas and select fewer ideas to the final stage.
So Ashraf Bhai mentioned about RISE framework, and for viewers is again another complex keyword. Riyasat Bhai, can you elaborate the RISE framework is for the viewers?
So typically, what a product team would do when they have multiple features and they're trying to decide which features they would like to work on, because within the agile framework that we follow within the organization, you can do only as much, right? We have limited resources in reality, even though in the divergence phase, the assumption was you have unlimited time and resources, but in reality we do have a limited set of resources. So every single product team would have to prioritize what are they going to work for the upcoming quarter, upcoming month, upcoming sprints. And as part of that planning, each of the features would be given a score, which is, you can say, the RICE score. And based on the score, whichever is highest, they would work on that in the next quarter, for example. And so within that typical framework, I think what we did was we, as brother Ashraf mentioned, we had more than 70 ideas in total. But is it actually feasible to work on 70? Not possible, right? So we had to prioritize, and as a group collectively, we had to come up to a consensus which are the most important features or ideas that we want to work on. And so the voting method through the RICE framework helped us to prioritize which were the top 5 ideas that we would like to work on going forward.
I would love to add a little bit from the name RICE, RICE. Each one has a different term. Reach from R, reach, impact, confidence, and effort. And there is a formula. We calculate a score, and if the score is higher, then it's more applicable or more acceptable. Am I right?
Yes, we actually used those marks to rank the ideas, and we
Yes,
took
yes,
the
yes.
top 5 out of them.
So I want to add just one thing. Already, Yasud Bhai has mentioned the main reason behind choosing the RICE framework. So I'm just adding another reason, that is to avoid conflicts. When we go in qualitative, there may rise fights among the participants. So to avoid that, there is a well-known framework, quantitative framework, which marks those according to some formula, and then we choose from them.
So, Ashraf Bhai, you conducted a second session for the workshop. So, what was the reason behind doing double session for this ideation workshop?
So the main reason was to give the participants a bit of time and, let's say, sleep on the ideas. And the main target was for them to come back with more matured solutions and full strategies of the ideas that they gave. And that is exactly what happened in the second session. We worked on the each of the 5 ideas, and we actually developed detailed strategies for each idea, and which for me was actually very much affected by the gap we gave between the 2 sessions. So that was the main reason for splitting the workshop into 2 sessions.
So, we have discussed about the methodology of the workshop, but what was the necessity of this workshop? Yes, Bhai. Why the workshop was needed at this time?
Absolutely. So since as part of Greentech Office Foundation's R&D team, one of the roles that we play as a team is to look at the new frontiers that we can work on, inshallah, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. As part of that, we had to do an ideation workshop. What are the issues or what are the things that we would like to or potentially can work on going forward in the future, inshallah? And this entire workshop followed the design thinking approach. So this is an umbrella term that uh, it is usually coined with the organization called IDEO, or mentioned IDEO. It's been longer. It's been around longer than that. But they are usually termed or coined as the founder of the design thinking approach. So in the design thinking approach, you will try to find ideas and features that you want to work on that users actually need. So we are trying to solve users' problems. And this is a broad umbrella term that ultimately means that we want to generate ideas that we can potentially work on, validate, prototype, test with users in the future. And as the R&D team, we wanted to understand what exactly, collectively speaking, does our team members, not only within the R&D team, but also from the other team members that are present, for example, the product team, the marketing team, the dev team, for example, what are they also interested in that we can, inshallah, work on in the future? So one of the things that Brother Ashraf mentioned at the very beginning was the bottom-up approach. How does it relate? The vision or the idea behind this ideation workshop was that us uh, team members who are working on day-to-day, engaging with the users, engaging with actual work, the development side, the design side, the day-to-day work that they're doing, they have hands-on experience on what is going on within the organization. And a lot of the members that we had in the ideation workshop, they are directly engaging with the users in the day-to-day basis. So for example, we had a customer support team member within the workshop. We also had the product managers and designers who actually conduct user interviews as part of their day-to-day task. And so what are these user needs? And then obviously people who are within the R&D team, we can come up with a view of what are the new technologies that are coming in and how can we use these technologies to help solve some of these user needs. And as a whole, we follow the design thinking framework to come up with these ideas. And specifically, we used, for example, the double diamond method. Obviously, we could have used anything else, but we used the double diamond method to come up with the ideas and then to converge on the ideas. And then finally, we use the affinity mapping to categorize similar ideas together. And then finally, as Brother Ashraf mentioned, we had a 2 weeks gap so that people could go a bit deeper into the methods. Oh, sorry, they can go deeper into the ideas so that they can have some time to think. Maybe they came across something else they would like to add on to that specific idea to help develop the idea even further, going a bit more depth, and then finally converge and select the best. For example, in our case, we went to the 5 top ideas. So this is the overall approach that we took. There can be multiple different ways of doing this. Design thinking is a broad terminology, and there are a lot of different methods that fall within design thinking. But we just chose 2 or 3 that we thought was within, would fit within the team that we are working on and the problems that we're trying to solve.
I would like to add something to that. That is about the bottom-up approach. Why we actually conducted the workshop, because it was actually done on the bottom-up approach, and we gave the chance to the employees who actually work on the front lines and directly engages with the work that we do and the customers that we serve and the donors that we take donations from. So the frontline employees actually have something to say, which they not always the frontline employees actually don't get the chance to share their ideas always in many of the companies. So this workshop was very important for taking a different perspective of generating ideas, which the C-level and the leaders usually get the chance to do that, but we took a different approach to generate different ideas and different perspectives.
So during this discussion, we have been mentioning about our ideation workshop and different ideas. We are selecting top ideas. I think our viewers would like to know what type of problem we were uh, thinking about. Ashraf bhai, can you share something about this?
I think that's a very good question. Actually, we actually in the first session of Divergence, we actually asked the participants to think about problems first. Think about problems first, and then propose solutions if you have some solution in your head. So actually, we came up with very different and diverse problems of the Ummah. Problems like, let's say, community engagement, the lack of community engagement that the new practicing Muslims have, the lack of knowledge of the history, specifically the Sira, the lack of solutions, tech solutions for women and their health and related to the religious activities of women. And also we had problems identified like lack of interconnectivity between Islamic ilm uh, platforms, and we also identified problems like people actually don't continue in their journey of knowledge, and people are actually don't uh, people are not actually creating habits to become more knowledgeable of the deen. So the habit, so there is no habit building solution in the Ummah right now, at least that we know of. And there were also problems identified related to, let's say, multimedia and related to non-Muslims, giving dawah to non-Muslims. How can we take them and how can we give dawah to non-Muslims who are actually interested about Islam and has the possibility of converting to Islam. So these were the main fields of ideas that came, and there were many solutions that were also generated from that.
There were some problems and ideas that were repetitive. Uh, we were thinking about it again and again. So, Mushfiq Talha bhai, would you like to mention any of them? Maybe anything that was keeping up across again and again?
So obviously, I can talk about some of the most repeating ideas or problems that came into our mind that time. One key point was progressive learning or interactive learning and personalization in these apps. So most of the time, I personally felt something that in most of these apps there is uh, not that much of personalization options where we can personalize our own uh, practices for Islam and our own knowledge sources, or we can say we we can often not find personalized learning courses about Islam. Another problem that came here is the lower attention span in nowadays among people. So we were thinking about this. So how about this, that how can we make people attracted to the contents so that people can actually learn and take some insights from the content. These were the main uh, uh, these are the main problems and ideas that were talked again and again in the workshop.
So, Riyasat bhai, from your perspective, what themes resonated most strongly with the research finding we discussed earlier? Can you share a bit?
So in terms of the ideation workshop and how the research paper that we did relates. So in terms of the background of the problems that we discussed within the workshop, a lot of that came from the findings from the research paper. So the research that we have done informed a lot of the basis of the problem space that we're discussing within the ideation workshop. So I think that was one of the key issues that we could relate to in terms of that. And obviously, as we've already mentioned, and it's a recurring issue, right? Users want a community aspect. People, generally who are newly practicing in general, but in general, people who have been practicing for a long time, they want to be part of a community. Islam as a whole is a communal religion, a way of life. And the second one was being able to access scholars, so being able to access authentic knowledge. And so some of these aspects came up within our ideation workshop as well. How can we serve the people and fulfill their needs from these perspectives?
So the first thing is the environmental factor. The in the workshop, there should be a culture of understanding, and people should be comfortable sharing new ideas. And we should keep in mind that in a workshop like this, as it's a ideation workshop, there is no bad ideas. There is no such bad ideas. Uh, the second thing is the workshop. In the workshop, the organizers can use different design thinking methods. Then they can even use the exact one that we used, which was the double diamond method. For specifically, if they use the double diamond method of ideation, they should keep in mind that they have to limit the participants to 5 or 6 members, not more than them, not more than 5 or 6. In that case, that they can complete the workshop in time. And the final one is they can use tools like Miro and other board canvas tools to visualize the ideas and use the tool for the double diamond method or the design thinking method. That's it.
Jazakallah khair. We are almost at the end of this discussion. Before we close, I want each of you to share one personal reflection from this workshop experience or anything about this discussion for the viewers. So, Mushfiq bhai, let's start with you.
At first, I want to say that this was a reset button for me, that it told me to think bigger and think out of the box. That is actually what me as an R&D member should do, aside from the typical development task. So this encouraged me to invest time in thinking problems and the solutions that will have a greater impact for the Ummah. And aside from that, this workshop also had positive impact on me, that this company has a good organizational culture that I have seen here, that every voice of the members, from the interns to the senior members, all were heard equally. So this was a very mind-blowing experience for me. In this workshop, I have seen that every voice, from the interns to the senior members, all were discussed and considered equally. I enjoyed this discussion, and I respect this culture of this company very much. That's all I have to say about this workshop.
Ashraf bhai, please share something for the viewers.
As Talha said, it was also a new experience for me. I have never done a workshop and conducted a workshop like this before. This was a new experience and new learning for me. I think this experience will benefit me in the long run, and I actually want to continue this as a part of Greentech as an initiative. I am actually planning to go out of the company and do workshops like this about solving the problems of the Ummah with people like our app users or our donors, and even the people, Muslims, practicing Muslims who are actually not our users. So I want to continue this process and enrich my knowledge in this field. And as a result of the process, I hope that Greentech will be influential, and Greentech's initiatives will be impactful for the Ummah.
Jazakallah khair. Finally, Riyasat bhai, please share
So,
something.
so my concluding message would be that any organization who is trying to work on dawah or trying to solve issues that we have within the community at the Muslim Ummah at large, if we can utilize the collective minds within the organization or outside of the organization and have similar initiatives, ideation workshops, uh, I think this will really help to consolidate, to understand what are the key issues that we have within the Ummah and how we can, inshallah, solve them. I think that is the message that we are trying to portray in this session, inshallah, so that people, organizations all over the world can, inshallah, start brainstorming and understanding the problems that they're trying to solve, and inshallah, strategize on how they can keep on innovating and solving problems that they are working on, to be specific. Obviously, we as Greentech Apps Foundation, we are more focused towards educational technologies. That is our area of focus. But obviously, whoever is working, it might be a social issue, it might be dawah. Inshallah, they can also take initiatives such as these ideation workshops, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Yasir bhai, and to all of you, and obviously to our viewers, thank you all for watching. If this video resonates you, if anything comes up to your mind, please don't let them die. The Ummah needs more builders, more thinkers, and more people want to make a positive impact through whatever skills Allah have given them. The discussion ends here. Let me recite the dua before ending the discussion. Subhanallahi wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.